sustainable tourism. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Asel Smolar. I am from Moscow and I have been promoting Russia as a destination in Asia-Pacific region for more over 50 years. I'm holding a degree in digital transformation of a Doctor of Business Administration. And let me introduce to you our honorable speakers today. Ms. Dalia Altuntepe, General Manager of Numa Company from Germany. Thank you. Ms. Sophie Ibatsan. Sophie is responsible for development of sustainable tourism in Central Asia and a chairman of the Royal Society for Asian Affairs, Uzbekistan's ambassador for tourism in Great Britain. Mr. Mohammed Raid, Managing Director of Maldives Integrated Tourism Development Corporation. And Mr. Mikhail Shamshidov, International Consultant and Trainer for Tourism Development and co-founder of Samarkand Tourism Forum. Dear audience, please be more cheerful to our honorable speakers. Thank you. Me, myself, promoting different destinations all over the world, have been focused on the well-being of tourists first, and I think and I believe we always forget of the balance of the whole ecology. We always say how tourism impacts on the growth of local economy, of how tourism can be a catalyst for economical growth of any destination, but we less say of a sustainability of any destination. And let's talk about this very important topic and bring it on a table today. Let me give a microphone to make a speech to Ms. Dalia Altuntepe, and as we are saying about people, tourists, and sustainability, let's first of all talk about responsibility of any person, of any human being, and talk about cultural values of sustainability in tourism. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here. So my presentation will be about the importance of social cultural values in sustainable tourism, and of course this goes together with preserving cultures, empowering communities and ensuring sustainable tourism. As Ms. Smolar said, I'm a tourism professional from Germany. We are specialized on organizing tours, cultural group tours, and especially to Central Asia, Uzbekistan, as well as other destinations. And we know that there are also responsibilities what tourists have to take. The responsibility is not only on the destination side, but also tourists have some responsibilities in order to preserve the sustainability. And I want to talk with you about this today. As you may know, social cultural values play a crucial role in shaping the sustainable tourism. When we talk about sustainable tourism, everyone thinks firstly about the climate, of course, and about the nature. But also the society, also the cultural values of a country are a big part and are an essential part of the sustainability. Because the aim of it is to preserve the cultural heritage and the traditions of the country. And if we do this, also the local communities will benefit from the sustainable tourism because the economies will also develop sustainable. And tourism can have a positive or a negative impact on social cultural values, and of course we want to have it in a positive way, so therefore everyone has to take his own responsibility for that. So what is it? Sustainable tourism can contribute to the preservation of cultural diversity. As you may know, everyone has his own cultural values tourist travels, he wants to get to know these diversity. Sometimes people expect the standards as at home. For example, the European tourists expect the same standards, the same comfort as at home, but this can come together with change in the destination. So in order to avoid this, we have to also focus that the cultural diversity of the destination is preserved. And local communities can showcase their traditions and customs to tourists. And tourists gain a deeper understanding and appreciation of different cultures when their own cultural values are preserved. And preserving cultural heritage allows for intergenerational transfer of knowledge, because if you don't have these changes with the modern globalization and tourists coming into the country, also the younger generations in your country will be able to live their own traditions like handcrafts or music or dance. So of course another part is the community empowerment, and we are really giving a big focus that the communities where we travel to are also empowered. For example, we visit the villages, we do not always go to restaurants, but sometimes also to local houses. Any of you maybe who has traveled through Uzbekistan knows that, for example, in Samarkand or Bukhara, that you can also visit locals in the house in order to get lunch or dinner. And this is really a great, how to say, has a great impact also on the tourists, because everyone gets to know this unique and this authentic experience, and all our clients say this was much better than the 5-star restaurant, for example. So therefore this is a very good activity to empower the community, to empower the ladies. And what we also give a big focus on is that we can pay them tips, for example, so that they also get the same money, for example, as someone who is working. Yes, of course, that is valued. So this sustainable tourism empowers local communities by involving them in decision-making processes. And of course, when these women, for example, or ladies who are also part of the local tourism, they also have the right to say something and also to contribute to the development. Communities therefore can actively participate in tourism development and management, and the income which is generated by tourism can support them with their projects and infrastructure. Plus, community-based tourism initiatives encourage entrepreneurship and self-reliance. And there are some responsible tourism practices where also tourists have to take care of. When we visit, for example, religious sites or traditional houses, we always call our guests to take care of their dresses, for example, that they dress accordingly. And there where we have to pay entrance fees, it is paid anyway, but there are some sites like mosques, they are free of charge. So anyway, we give a small money. There are always the boxes where you can leave a small money. So this is also important in order to support these institutions. So social cultural values must be respected through responsible tourism practices, like the examples what I have told you. Tourists should engage in culturally sensitive behavior and respect the local customs, in dressing accordingly, in being silent in some institutions, etc. Plus, tourism businesses should prioritize hiring and training local residents. This is very important because sometimes you see tourism groups who have their own tourist leader or their own tour guide coming with them from abroad. But we do not prefer this. We always prefer to have locals in order to have also these authentic meetings with the tourists. And balancing economic interests with cultural preservation is key for sustainability. And of course, we are focused that the impact on the local economy is high, is there, because sustainable tourism enhances the local economy and of course reduces poverty. As you know, tourism is one of the biggest income sources globally. Income from tourism can provide job opportunities for local residents. Tourists spending money in local businesses stimulates economic growth, and the local suppliers and artisans can benefit from tourism-related demand. So they will have their income, plus they will serve their traditional arts, so this is a double positive impact. And therefore, if someone wants to buy souvenirs, we always lead them to local artisans so that they can buy handmade products. Yeah. And there there are the educational experiences where I talk about. Sustainable tourism offers educational experiences for both tourists and locals. Tourists learn from the different traditions and the different culture here, and the locals also learn from the tourists. So it is a win-win situation for both of them. Tourists can learn about the practices, history, traditions, and educational programs can be developed further to promote cross-cultural understanding. Local communities can educate tourists about their traditions and environmental conversation. Of course, there are challenges, but also solutions. We always have to take care that uncontrolled mass tourism can lead to the erosion of social cultural values. This is especially then the case when tourism grows too fast and uncontrolled. And therefore, a proper planning and management are essential to prevent negative impacts. And destination governments and stakeholders must collaborate to set the regulations, and education and awareness campaigns can promote responsible tourism behavior, both on the tourist side as well as on the destination side and the community side. So, authenticity is crucial for maintaining social cultural values in tourism. Because when people travel, they want to know authenticity. Because many destinations are becoming more and more similar. So therefore, this is a big very, very big advantage of Uzbekistan, because everyone who comes here is fascinated about this unique culture, unique country, and unique people. And the tourism activities therefore should reflect the genuine traditions and way of life, not the ones what the tourists want to see or what they are more comfortable with, because I always say tourism can also be some kind of neo-imperialism. It sounds maybe hard, but it is really like this, because also in small steps you can see that sometimes destinations try to change or try to fix or fit the expectations of the tourists, but in doing so sometimes they give up their own authenticity and their own cultures or their own specialties. Therefore we try to avoid that. No neoliberalism, please, just authentic tourism. And preserving authenticity enhances the uniqueness and the attractiveness, of course, of the destination. Therefore, we shouldn't do that. And residents and local communities should be involved in creating authentic tourism experiences. So from the state side, from the official side, they always have to be included, and also to hear their expectations, their needs. If we do all this, we will have the long-term sustainability. Because the social cultural values are essential for ensuring the long-term sustainability of, and the tourism development should align with the aspirations and needs of local communities, engaging in sustainable practices, protect social cultural values for future generations, and balancing economic growth with cultural preservation leads to sustainable tourism. The foundation of the sustainable tourism is not also preserving the nature, but also the social culture. So by preserving and doing it, we can create a positive impact on tourism, and the authenticity of the sustainable tourism and the tourism practices are the key. And by valuing social cultural values, we can ensure the long-term success of tourism. Thank you for your attention, and
Thank you, Dalia. Let me ask you some questions, please. You were talking about locals, and being back 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we can say that locals thought about tourists coming from abroad, that they interrent their local culture, local heritage, and everything. And not only in former Soviet countries, but anywhere in the world. The first opinion was the same, and you made a big step to change it. And now you change the opinion of locals and how you work with tourists to change their opinion to be more approached by locals. How do you do it in your day-to-day work?
I do this Also, the first, our tour guides who we are working with, and what we tell them are, be self-confident. Of course, everyone has expectations and when tourists come into the country, sometimes many people think that the tourists are one step higher than the locals because they pay money for something and they want to get something. And what we tell is they want something from you, so they want their authenticity. So please stay authentic, be self-confident, because you have the culture which really, if you compare with other destinations in Uzbekistan, we do not have any similar experiences anywhere. So therefore, I say stay self-confident, stay just as you are. But what we told our clients, of course, is if you want to have the comfort at home, with the same standards, same food, same bed, everything, you can stay at home and just watch a documentary, for example. Because if you are flying away to a completely other region, then you also want to that you will have difference. And some things may be different, but this authentic experience is something what you will not be able to get here. And then they are becoming more, how to say, open-minded and educated. We do this actually before we travel. It's not here like, oh, it's a cultural shock. I'm not in Germany or Europe. No. We do this because we have also some experience and some educational courses. Or we give them written information, and we always tell them, please respect the local customs. Do not expect the comfort. Sometimes it's even more comfort than here, than at home. I mean, sometimes here they have even more comfort at home. But we say, if you just want to the same experience as there, you want to go to the same cafes, same restaurants, because we live in this global world and you have everywhere the same cafes or the same restaurants, then you just stay at home and watch a documentary. So where's the difference? So if you come to Uzbekistan, you have to be from another country, of course. You have to be open-minded. And this is what we say. And afterwards,
Thank you ever so much. Hope we will take this experience. Dalia, please share it with our audience on our B2B sessions during these days on the exhibition. By the way, how do you like the exhibition itself? It's fantastic. Don't you think so?
Because I just passed it and I had the beautiful smells, but I had to take part here.
Yes.
So I also invite everyone to go there to the Gastro Bazaar later.
Gastro Bazaar, I think it's the best. Thank you. Thank you. Applause, please. Let me give another word to our speaker, to our next speaker, Sophie Ibatsan. Sophie, you, aside of everything, you always also write for National Geographic, for Berkeley Planet, for Bread Travel Guides, and you yourself have to live through every experience you write about. So they say that there are 10 principles of sustainable tourism development. How can you say us and share with us your opinions, how you live through this experience and through these principles?
I'm going to be talking about that in my talk, so I will crack on, and thank you very much for the introduction. I've had the privilege of being Uzbekistan's tourism ambassador since 2019, but for much longer than that, for you're saying you've been working in tourism for more than 15 years now. Same with me, and I used to say that I was a sustainable tourism development specialist. I've stopped saying I'm a sustainable tourism development specialist. I'm a tourism development specialist because there is no option to be anything else. We cannot be unsustainable, and that's going to be a very important point that I want to make. So in the tourism industry today, we are talking an awful lot about sustainability. Every event that I go to, there is a sustainability panel. Countries are producing their sustainability standards. There are sustainability awards, and every journalist is writing about sustainable travel. It's become very much an industry buzzword, and that's problematic because sometimes we stop thinking about it when you hear it too often. But it's something that's absolutely critical, and we need to make it at the centre of everything that we do. The concept of of sustainable tourism comes from the word sustained, something which can be continued, uninterrupted, indefinitely. And very often, and I'm certainly guilty of this as much as anybody else, we talk about a policy or an activity which is more sustainable, but it's a mistake. Sustainability is something binary. It is either sustainable or it is not sustainable. And if it is not sustainable, i.e. it cannot last, why are we doing it? We would be wasting effort on something which sooner or later will fail. Sustainability incorporates every aspect of life. In tourism, we are often thinking primarily about the environmental aspect. We know that as an industry, we're a major contributor to fossil fuel emissions, particularly through the aviation sector, through the cruise sector. So the transport is a big issue. Tourists staying in hotels tend to use more water and more energy than they would do at home. And having too many visitors can damage the fragile ecosystem and the society of the community that they're visiting. So the environment is very critical part of tourism, but I want to encourage you to think about sustainability more broadly. Yes, the environment is important, but it's not the only part. To be sustainable, an activity has to be environmentally sustainable, it has to be economically viable, and it has to be socially acceptable too. And the reason I picked this Venn diagram to go on the slides for you is to show the interlacing relationship of those three things. The UNWTO has created a platform called Tourism for SDGs, for the Sustainable Development Goals, and that's really what my talk is going to be focusing on today. The UN Sustainable Development Goals were adopted by UN member states in 2015, and they're designed to provide a shared blueprint, a shared plan for peace and prosperity for people and for the planet. Now, today, in the present, but also going into the future. And there are 17 of these goals, which are here up on the screen. And the plan is that countries should work together, that different sectors should work together to meet as many of these targets as possible by 2030. The reason for linking the tourism sector to the SDGs is that it helps us conceptualize sustainability and also focus our attention on very specific goals that we can take as individuals, as businesses, as community organisations, and at a government level. And by making improvements, even if they're only small ones, there's going to be a cumulative effect because of the size of the tourism sector and because of its importance. So worldwide, UN estimates that about 1 in 10 jobs is in some way connected to tourism. It's a multi-trillion-dollar industry. So even if just every person in the tourism sector who's working in the tourism sector or anybody who's taking a holiday does one thing to do better, the cumulative effect of all of those billions of people travelling is going to be huge. The UN Toolkit for Sustainable Development Goals for tourism is on the website, and I would encourage you to look at that. You can just Google hashtag tourism for SDGs. I'm going to draw out some of the examples that they've got in the toolkit because I think it's very interesting to think about what we can be doing across all aspects of the industry. I've chosen 3 particular SDGs to talk about. SDG 1, which is no poverty, SDG 2, no hunger, and SDG 3, good health. So I didn't pick these at random, I just picked the first 3 off the list. They're not necessarily the most important, but I wanted to show how tourism can contribute to any of those 17 goals rather than just being selective. So SDG 1 is to end poverty in all its forms everywhere, and this is probably the most important of all the goals. And tourism has the power to contribute to poverty reduction both directly and indirectly. The larger the tourism sector grows, the more jobs we create, the greater the demand for supplying goods and services, the higher the profits for enterprises, but also the greater the contribution to the state budget through taxes and through fees. So if we're going to maximise tourism's impact on poverty reduction, we need to focus particular attention on interventions which will support the vulnerable and poor communities, including women, minorities, disabled people and the elderly. It's not just enough to assume that the benefits of tourism growth will filter down to everybody. We need to be targeted, be proactive to ensure we help lift people out of poverty. So poverty has got many different dimensions, including lack of income and access to productive resources. It can be related to hunger and to malnutrition, to poor health, limited access to education and so on. But the most common definitions of poverty relates to income. So tourism is important because it can foster economic growth via job creation and via opportunities to establish businesses. It's a very labour-intensive industry to be in. It's a very good employer of people, and it's high-quality labour. If you think about the sorts of jobs which are available in the tourism sector, they don't tend to be dangerous in the same way as perhaps mining activities are, or some factory jobs. It's not as physically demanding as agricultural labour, so it's a good way of creating good quality jobs. It's well positioned to tackle poverty at all levels. There are some jobs which are entry-level jobs within the tourism sector which don't require a lot of prior skills and experience. There are opportunities for people to learn on the job. So even if you go into the tourism sector at a very basic level, there are opportunities for you to study and to develop your skills whilst you are working, and then to rise up in whichever part of the sector you're in. So one of the subsectors of this is particularly on employment, and the benefits of employment are not just in terms of the revenue, but the education and health and the social improvements that come with being in employment. And this is particularly true when we look at employment opportunities for women, because according to the World Bank, in the long run, GDP per capita would be almost 20% higher if the gender employment gaps were closed. Women's economic empowerment also contributes positively to issues such as food insecurity, climate change, conflict, fragility, violence, and outcomes in education and healthcare. So in Uzbekistan, it's particularly concerning to see that women's participation in the labour market has fallen from a high of 50% in 1996 to 40% today. By comparison, the participation of men in the labour market is more than 70%. So these figures are from the ILO. Tourism, however, is something that women can really actively get involved in all parts of the tourism sector. I can't think of a single job in tourism which a woman could not do just as well as men. And indeed, across most of the world, women do make up the majority of the tourism workforce. So this is something which Uzbekistan needs to pay more attention to, and we can really do to drive forward employment opportunities for everybody, but certainly for women. And the UNWTO guidelines has got some great advice for this, both for the public sector and for the private sector, practical things which organisations can do to address the inequalities at a grassroots level and have a really visible impact. Another interesting area for poverty reduction is the value chain, because tourism is not one single activity. All of the activities in tourism are interrelated, and even things that we don't think necessarily about tourism. So, for example, food production, and that's an agricultural activity, but it's critical for tourism because you've got to feed your tourists something. And so, thinking about it holistically, thinking about the ways that tourism interacts with other aspects of the economy, there are hugely important things that we can do there. I'm going to sort of move through quickly some of the other SDGs. So, how can tourism contribute to ending hunger? We want to make sure that everybody, everywhere in the world, has enough, can afford to buy good quality food to live an important life. Tourism can be a spur, a contributing factor to sustainable agriculture and its integration into the value chain, because it promotes the sustainable production and supply of food to accommodation providers and restaurants, sales of local products to tourists. Agritourism, the combination of agriculture and tourism, can be an additional revenue stream for farmers. It is enhancing the tourism experience, but it's also adding revenue in a different part of the economy. And as this creates a more resilient agricultural sector, that benefits food security and brings down prices for people who are outside the tourism sector as well. I recognise this gentleman, in fact I've seen him around the fair yesterday. Over the last 20 years, Uzbekistan has made really good progress towards meeting global nutrition targets. Tourism can provide both a demand and a support for food production, driving product diversification, enhancing food security, and of course the income which is generated from tourism jobs then makes it much easier for family to buy food and sort of putting back into the economy there. There are some great examples of agritourism already underway in Uzbekistan. I know there's a melon festival in Khiva, we have pomegranate festivals elsewhere. There are the vineyards in and around Park End, some out in the Fergana Valley, and then pictured here are the tropical fruit glass houses in Kirkland. And these are great for the local economy because it means that you can produce a much greater diversity of fruit, but it's also a tourism experience in its own right. I went to visit not because I'm particularly interested in farming practices, but I wanted to see bananas growing in Uzbekistan. For me, this was something completely novel. So the tourism, the agriculture, the bazaars and the other food-related experience can be drivers of economy. The third SDG that I wanted to mention in this talk is about ensuring healthy lives. It's good health and well-being. When you look at this SDG, you assume in the first case that it's about society, it's about people, but there is also a big overlap with the environment, and this goes back to my Venn diagram early on, showing that you can't look at any of the factors in isolation from each other, because yes, we think about health as being about people, but actually it is about our relationship with the environment that we live. If we have a damaged environment, it contributes to sickness. In the tourism sector, one of the things we need to be particularly attentive to is the sanitation and hygiene aspects. And this is something not only from the tourist's preferences point of view, we're talking about the European tourists when they're coming to Uzbekistan wanting things in some ways to be as they are at home. Certainly there are basic standards that we need to observe to ensure people stay healthy and well when they're staying in our hotels and in our restaurants. But as we saw with the COVID-19 pandemic, there is a huge risk to the tourism sector from public health generally, and if we don't observe the basics, there is a much greater risk of the spread of infection and spread of diseases, which can completely cripple the tourism sector. So there's self-interest as well, making sure that the industry is as healthy as it can possibly be. The last part of that, in terms of the health and well-being, is about the sustainable consumption and production, because we know how wasteful the tourism sector can be. People tend to eat and drink more when they're on holiday, they're also more likely to use single-use plastics, they take more baths, they take more showers, they expect their towels and their bedding to be changed every day. This is not something that we do at home. But there are, so in light of this, some actions that I think we ought to be taking in Uzbekistan and across the tourism sector to reduce our consumption. The first of these is that hotels' default position should be to change the sheets and bedding only when requested by the tourist. We don't need to have them changed every day. I visited a hotel in the UK last month which had an interesting way of encouraging this sort of behavioural change. So rather than just saying to people, we're going to stop doing it, they gave guests at check-in the option and said, if you decide not to have housekeeping every day, we will give you a voucher to have a drink in the bar. So it's encouraging people. Saving the hotel time and money, it's having a better impact on the environment, and it's something good for the tourist as well. So by encouraging good behaviour, we can have an impact across the entirety of the industry. The second point, everywhere in Uzbekistan I see single-use plastics, particularly for water bottles. We've got glass on the table here, which is slightly better than it's easy to recycle. But the absolute best option is one of these reusable plastic bottles. This one's got a filter in it. I can fill it up from a tap, I can fill it up from a stream, I can fill it up from a pond, it doesn't matter, because it's got a filter and I can drink everywhere. And that significantly reduces the amount of single-use plastics. Here we haven't got the recycling capacity that we need, so in terms of any single-use plastics, as several of them here, most of those can end up in landfill being burnt. So that is something as a sector we really need to encourage people to do. And the third thing that I think we should be doing to move towards a more sustainable consumption is getting rid of the other single-use plastics. People don't generally need plastic straws in their drinks. It might look nice in a cocktail or a Coca-Cola, but it's certainly not a necessity. If you do have to provide a straw for some reason, some accessibility issues, for example, paper straws are much better for the environment. Getting rid of polythene bags. Frankly, I've seen around the fair lots of people have got their cotton tote bags. That's a much better option because people are going to reuse them rather than using it twice and throw it away. And then my last pet hate is the single-use shampoos and conditioners and the little plastic bottles in hotels. Please can we get rid of those? Use the big bottles in the hotels, which can be refilled, or move over to the solid shampoos and solid conditioners. I've seen them in some hotels as well, but just cut back on the plastic use. It's not a good use of plastic. Plastic and the chemicals which go into it are incredibly valuable for all sorts of other things. We shouldn't just be using them and throwing them away. So that, in fact, there's my friend and I with a paper straw. So that was the picture for the last slide, so my apologies, I mixed those up so much. So today I've only scratched the surface of ways in which the tourism sector can play a leading role in achieving the UN SDGs. Do please download the UN's Tourism for SDGs toolkit, because it's a very, very helpful piece the street. If you'd like to talk about it more, of course, find me around there. I'll be here today and tomorrow. But you can also email me and find me on Twitter and Instagram at Musa.
Thank you ever so much, Sophie. Let me ask you several questions and share my opinion. Fantastic speech, and let me say that you not only develop and share your experience about sustainable tourism, about development of tourism, but you impact and advocate a lot of global ideas which affects on every single sphere in any destination. However, talking about Uzbekistan is being very proactive. We see ladies are in business. They are having leading positions. They are very smart, well educated, very intelligent. Food, meal, fantastic. Everything is safe. But you always forecast everything, and you forecast your goals. And how do you think, which ideas can you advocate as a forecasting, and what ideas you can bring as a forecast on the table concerning Uzbekistan?
So in the future, in terms of forecasting, this comes down to what metrics you use. How do we define success? And a very, very interesting example, and I think one of the best tourism sectors in the world, is Bhutan. It's a very exclusive destination. It's somewhere people really aspire to go to. It's a very high value destination. It's expensive to visit. But Bhutan does not assess the success of its economy in its GDP, in its gross domestic product. It doesn't focus on the money. Instead, it has its own set of metrics, and it calls it GNP, Gross National Happiness. And they have a set of criteria by which they assess the success of their country and everything within it. It's not just about how much people earn, it's about their life expectancy. It's about how much time they have for leisure. It's about their engagement in education. And it's about the things which are actually, to most people, are really important. Because, yes, how much money we earn, how much money we take home is important, because we have to have a roof over our houses, we have to feed our families. But what is critical above a basic level is the time you spend with your family, your education, your health. And so we need to start thinking about those sorts of things rather than just the top numbers. Uzbekistan, for many years, and in terms of its forward-going tourism as well, keeps saying we want more international tourists. We want to have 7 million international arrivals this year, 10 million next year, and so on and so forth. And I think that is something we're looking at in the wrong way. Because if you want more arrivals, you just put on a free bus service to Shymkent and to Almaty and to Osh and various other places, and you bus people back and forth. So it's an artificial numbers game. What is important to Uzbekistan is, what do those tourists do when they come here? How do they contribute to the economy? Are they engaging respectfully with local culture? Are they using infrastructure? Are they buying products in the market? Are they staying in hotels? That is what is important to Uzbekistan now, but also in terms of our future tourism planning. So in terms of our forecasting, I don't want to say we're going to have more and more tourists, because I think that is looking at it in the wrong way. I think we should be saying we want to have tourists who are contributing more financially and more holistically to Uzbekistan. So people who are bringing their money here, but who are also bringing their skills here, bringing their experience here, and are engaging and sharing with the Uzbekistan population.
Thank you. How to educate these ideas?
I'm here talking to you today, and actually this is a very important thing. It's about advocacy and it's about education. And all of us working, attending here are in the tourism sector in some way, and it's about how we think about our own businesses as well. I have been talking at a national level, but with your own businesses you can be thinking, rather than saying actually next year I want to attract an extra 1,000 tourists, think actually how am I going to generate X amount of additional revenue? How am I going to create this number of extra jobs? Or how am I going to ensure that next year I have 5 days extra holiday or more time to spend with my family? So thinking about it on an individual and a business level as well, changing how we view success. Success isn't a bad thing. We should all be striving to do better, but it is not just a numbers game, it is not just about money, there are important other aspects to it as well.
Thank you. One of my dreams, islands which I haven't visited in my life yet. Mr. Mohammed Wright, please share with us how Maldives kept success and safe of islands, having a lot of tourists from year to year till nowadays. Your word.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So my presentation is a little bit different. Thank you, Sophie and Dalia, for the wonderful presentations. I have seen this is the very afternoon time, and I want to have an interactive session. I'm seeing a little bit of sleepy faces, so let's do something together. I will throw you 3 questions about the Maldives. Whoever can answer will get something from the Maldives. Will that be okay? Before I start my presentation, I just want to throw 3 questions, and my colleague here, Suhan, will be able to identify who has answered correctly. So anybody who knows where the Maldives is? Where? Yes, please, gentlemen. Sorry? Indian Ocean. Okay, fantastic. Fantastic. Please identify him. Is there anyone who knows how many islands are there in the Maldives? How many islands? Hurry up, hurry up. Yes. No, unfortunately. No. Come on, you all have your smartphones. Come on, ask Google, sir. Come on, come on. No. Yes. The lady there. Please. Yeah. How many? 5,000. No.
1,200.
Yes, fantastic. Okay, wonderful. Okay, now the last one. In Uzbekistan as well, I have heard that you are also going to have a tagline, something like Heart of the Silk Road, which is not officially been started. Does anyone know what is the tagline of Maldives? Because I have seen Malaysia is using through the Asia. So what is the tagline of Maldives? No, what is the tagline of Maldives, which we use to promote the tourism? Any ideas? Yeah. No, unfortunately, Daniel. No, I'll not take from the panel. Unfortunately, Michael. Anyone? Sorry? Always? No, unfortunately. No. You're just coming to that, but no. Correct? Sorry? Yes, the sunny side of life. That is the Maldives, where you get the sun 365 days, and we have been using that tagline for a very, very long time. That's the sunny side of life. And at the end of the presentation, I'll tell you the meaning of sunny side of life. So my presentation is actually, thank you so much. I have identified the 3 winners. You will take something from the Maldives today before you go. So, okay, my presentation is about, as our distinguished moderator has mentioned, it is how we have come to this level, actually. Maldives being an island nation with 1,190 or 1,200 islands, and where we are today, we are proudly saying that we are the jewel in the crown of tourism. We are proudly saying that, and we have begged the world leading destination for the past 3 years. So how we came to this position is actually the sustainability. So that is how I'm going to, my presentation is based upon. Okay, this is where the Maldives is located. Actually, as our gentleman has said, it's in the Indian Ocean, and it is a very strategic location. You can see that somewhere it is in the middle. and we lie on the 0 degree or the equator. And that is how we are blessed with 365 days sun. And Alhamdulillah, we don't have any typhoons, no cyclones, no heavy rains, nothing like that. So we are enjoying the sunny side of life. So this is where the Maldives is actually located. I'm representing the Maldives Integrated Tourism Development Corporation. Actually, that is a government organization. I am appointed by the president. I'm a political appointee. My main mandate is the development of local island tourism. As we all know that we have 1,100 islands. So there are 188 islands people are living, and there are some other 100 and some odd islands developed as luxury resorts. And there are some 700 odd islands still empty. So my main mandate is the development of local islands as tourist destinations. So in 2009, the government gave the permission to open guest houses or the hotels where people are living. So those 188 islands. So that is my main mandate actually. And tourism started in 1972. Okay, this is the story of the Maldives where it begins. What happened in 1960? Okay, this is a very interesting thing. We first opened our airport in 1960. We were a fishing village. Maldives was a fishing island. So it's nobody, actually Maldives was there for I think more than 2,000 years. So we were living as a fisherman. So 1960 we got our first airport. So we were thinking, okay, what can we do? For some reasons I will not disclose the name of the international organization. There was an international organization that came to Maldives to study, to make a study, whether Maldives can be a touristic destination. That report is still there in the Maldivian Museum. That says clearly Maldives will never be a touristic destination. Maldives will never be a tourist because it is so isolated and it's an island. So, I mean, there are so many reasons, and Maldives will never become a tourist destination. And there was a group of youth who came out and said, no, we are not going to believe that. And we are not going to sit down with that report and cry for that and be there as a fishing village for the rest of our lives. No, we are not going to do that. And 1972, we opened our first resort. And last year we celebrated the 50th year of tourism, and we are the jewel in the crown. That is our sustainability. And we never listened to that report. Please excuse me, I am not going to reveal the organization. It is an international organization, and they gave us the report saying that, suppose if we believe that and if we sit down we will be a fishing village, I think today even. But we never listened to that. Our youth came out and said, no, we will do this. We will thrive it and we will leave this shell and come out. So that was what has happened in 1960s actually. So Maldives, we have 63,700 beds. And we have major three types of tourism. One is the luxury tourism, then the next one is the local island tourism, and then that's the cruising tourism. We are very famous for the cruising tourism as well. We call the safaris or the liverboats. So luxury tourism is in the resorts. That's one island, one resort concept. And the local tourism is the hotels where they have opened in the islands where people are living. So, and the cruise tourism is the safaris or the liverboats. So this is the number of accommodations. Why I am showing you this is with only 63,000 beds, with only, I think even in Tashkent, you will be having more than this. This is the total number of beds in the whole of Maldives. With only, and we are measuring not in rooms, we measure in beds. So with 63,700 beds only, we are at the highest of the world tourism. So we have 179 islands developed as resorts, 919 small hotels, and 14 city hotels. City hotels is if any hotels which is in a local island with more than 100 rooms, is considered as a city hotel. Guest houses, anyone who opens a hotel with more than 2 rooms can be considered as a guest house. And the safari vessels are the liverboats. So we have 14 city hotels, 162 safari vessels. This is the statistics till 18th of October 2023. Okay, this is something very interesting. What is our top markets actually? So we are aiming to have 2 million tourists by the end of this year. We have already received 1.8 million this year, so we are targeting to have 2 million by the end of December 2023. So we have the statistics from 2022 and 2023. We are very happy to say that Russia is always our number 1 market. So China, India, UK, Germany, Italy, US, France, Spain and Switzerland. This is our top 10 market. There are other markets as well. By the time I make this report, I didn't get the statistics of Uzbekistan. How many Uzbeks has visited the Maldives? I think that is very important. I was unable to put this into the presentation, but I have written down. If you want, you can note down. In 2019, there was 695. 2020, we have 926. In 2021, we have 3,500. So it jumped. So I don't know, for whatever reason, it has become so famous among the Uzbeks. And 2022, we have 2,600. Until the end of October, we have already welcomed more than 3,100 Uzbeks to the Maldives. So I'm very happy to be here and giving you a story about the story of Maldives actually, because you guys are traveling to the Maldives as well. So, and I just wanted to highlight that Maldives is a country where you don't need visa. I think there are very few countries in the world. We always say that you have to have 2 things if you want to come to the Maldives. That is, you have to have a passport and you have to be a human. That's the only thing that is needed for you to visit the Maldives. So that is actually the Maldives. Okay, and I'll come to the sustainability. These are the 5 main elements actually what we are doing. Number 1 is the preserving coral ecosystem, because Maldives, the only thing we are selling is sun, sand and sea. So we make sure that this will never be destroyed. Everyone, we have a population of less than 500,000. But believe me, everyone, there is not even the newborn baby to the very elderly will never do anything that would harm the tourism, because that is our bread and butter. And everyone will know that that is our bread and butter. So preserving the coral ecosystem, we are only 0.003% we share the global warming. But we are the most dangerous country for global warming. We only contribute 0.003% for the global warming. But we are the most in danger because of the global warming. So because of global warming, there's been coral bleaching is happening. And we preserve the coral systems, and we have started in 2005 a national-wide campaign to protect our coral gardens and everything. And the second one is the marine conservative. With the marine conservative, I would like to say that Maldives is the very only country who carries the badge with dolphin friendly. We are still, our second major industry is fishing. We have banned netting for all these years. Nobody can put a net into the Maldivian seas. It's a very big crime. So how do we do this? Just by pole and line. Every fish we catch from Maldives is only pole and line. So that is very much sustainable, environment friendly, and we proudly carry the dolphin friendly badge in all our fisheries products. So those are, for example, the marine conservative and the local community initiatives. We have been, as I have said, 188 islands people are living. So we make sure that our beaches are clean, and environment studies is being in our curriculum, and preserving the beaches and everything is being taught in their curriculum as well. And phasing out single-use plastic. Believe me, we are also a third world country. So it is very, very difficult to ban plastic totally. We are not in the first world country. So as a third world country, it's still very difficult. People's mindset, people believe, okay, the PET bottles, the water bottles, the carry bags, everything is still there. But there is a nationwide campaign, and we have made targets by the year 2030. We will totally phase out single-use plastic. And from the 1st of January 2024, we will be phasing out, because this is by year, there are some objectives and initiatives. So starting from next year, there will be no single-use PET bottles in the Maldives. So there are so many things that we are trying to achieve, but as we have said, we also believe that these things cannot be done in overnight. It should be done day by day, slowly, and also by keeping the awareness. Awareness is something very, very important, and you should embed this into the curriculums, because this will not come from the elder. No, this should come from the very beginning. From the very beginning of your studies, it should be embedded to your curriculum to protect your environment, to protect your country, to protect all the industries. This should be embedded to your curriculum. This is how we believe. And island recycling plants, there are so many. I think, I'm really sorry to show this picture, there are so many PET bottles that has been nicely packed and been taken to the recycling plants actually. So there are recycling plants that has been installed in different parts of the country. Not in all the 188 islands, but we have identified some of the major islands to install these plants. And these are some of the notable agencies that has been, I don't know what has happened to the Olive Ridley logo. Olive Ridley is there to protect the turtles, and Parley that is protecting, they are collecting the single-use plastic, and Mantha Trust is a UK-based company, NGO protecting the manta rays, and also Greenfield is an international organization that is for the protection of marine species and marine lives as well. Okay, thank you so much. I hope that you have all enjoyed my presentation, and that is my contact details and my Instagram as well. Please shoot me a message if you need any information, or I think if you want to visit the Maldives, please just shoot me a message. Thank you so much.
Mr. Ray, may I ask one question? What else do a person need if he wants to travel to Maldives? Two more things.
Okay, yes, Maldives, we always say it's sun, sand and sea. So if somebody who really wants to enjoy these three things, please, because we do not have mountains, we do not have wildlife, so these things we do not have. So please carry your beautiful swimsuit with you, and then come and swim with the sharks, because we are the country till today, proudly, there are no shark attacks. We swim with the sharks, and if the sharks misbehave, we ask them to go to another country. I will not mention the country's name. We ask them to go to another country, don't stay with us, and then they are vegetarians. The sharks we have are vegetarians, they don't attack the humans. With the Russian market, it's very famous. Come and take a selfie with the tiger shark. That's enough? Okay.
Uzbekistan has its own path, and during about 5 or 10 years, Uzbekistan made itself very big trend. Uzbekistan nowadays one of the most attractive destinations in the world. Uzbekistan put itself on a tourism map on a very high level. Please give some advices maybe three advices, a piece of advice, please, to our colleagues to make Uzbekistan more sustainable and more luxury tourism destination. Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, for tourism, there's only one definition. There's no luxury, there's no sustainability, that's only one definition for tourism. Please keep a smile on your face. Please keep a smile on your face because you are there to welcome me here. So there's no other definition of tourism. Maldivians do not believe. There's no luxury tourism. These are all being done by the businesses. But if you ask me an academic tourism, please keep a smile on your face and welcome your visitor. And I have seen that and I'm very happy. Believe me, I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, this is very friendly country. It's very friendly country. It's a very safe country. Please keep it like that and do more to reach to that level. Always keep a smile on your face and say welcome to Uzbekistan. There's nothing other than that to reach onto that level. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, Ms. Miles. Thank you so much. And our next speaker is local very much, Mr. Michael Shamshidov. What do you use to bring sustainable path to hotel business in Uzbekistan?
Добрый день. I think I will mix Russian and English in my presentation. I do hope my colleagues will not blame me much because sustainability it's always about local, yes, and I see my role in my career, which also partly starts in sustainability, in sustainable tourism last couple of years, is to not just translate but interpret some sustainability, not only terminology but conceptions into a local content and context. Therefore, I think I will proceed in Russian, but you please slides are in English, and maybe I will also translate into English some few messages. Друзья, здравствуйте еще раз. Прежде всего, я очень хочу поблагодарить вот всех тех, кто и пришел на эту секцию, и кто досидел вот до этого момента, потому что вот это те люди, которых интересует тема устойчивости. И очень хорошо, что нас, может быть, не так много. Самое важное, что я вижу тут своих коллег и единомышленников именно по теме устойчивости из Узбекистана, из Кыргызстана, из Таджикистана и из других стран, уже как гостей нашей выставки. Важно, что мы продолжаем ковырять вот эту тему. И не нужно как бы комплексовать из-за того, что мы пока не сильно продвинулись. Я благодарен, что у меня есть там 10 или 15 минут, потому что, честно говоря, больше пока говорить не о чем. Да? У Узбекистана и у стран Центральной Азии плюс-минус пока только начало этого пути в устойчивости, да, но давайте смотреть на какие-то маленькие вещи, на какие-то маленькие свои решения и победы в этой области, как на очень важное продвижение, потому что, в принципе, есть возможность совершить так называемый leapfrog, то есть это когда какая-то страна не обязательно должна проходить весь многолетний или многодекадный путь, который другие страны совершали к этой новой какой-то подходу или технологии, а взять технологии, применить и совершить вот некий такой перескок, прыжок лягушки, да, leapfrog. Так вот, сейчас у стран Центральной Азии, в частности у Узбекистана, есть очень много шансов преуспеть в устойчивости благодаря тому международному опыту, который уже накоплен, и наши коллеги поделились, да, с нами, и вот этими самыми fundamentals, да, основами устойчивости и конкретными практиками применения, как в случае Мальдив. Поэтому давайте буквально несколько слайдов, какие-то слайды я даже пропущу, потому что, в принципе, об этом уже говорилось. Посмотрим, что происходит в Узбекистане. Значит, мой опыт, вот диаграмма того, что я там с 98 года делаю в туризме, но именно последние несколько лет, вот это все началось после пандемии. В пандемию мы все сидели, смотрели вебинары, да, и вот там вот это слово устойчивость, sustainability, неважно на каком языке, оно все больше и больше повторялось. И вот когда мы там уже вышли, как бы опять начали действовать, да, шуршать на рынке, вот с тех пор я почувствовал, что вот это слово устойчивость, оно становится как бы очень важным и для меня лично. Я стал видеть какие-то перспективы в своей карьере как эксперта. И вот вы знаете, сейчас, наверное, это самое часто употребимое слово, не только как бы, когда я там сам с собой разговариваю, размышляю, а именно вот и среди коллег. То есть, когда встречаемся, потому что, почему? Потому что это еще не настоящее, но это будущее. София упомянула, что это многомиллиардный рынок в мире, да? Мы тоже должны стать частью этого рынка и зарабатывать, в том числе на этом. И одна маленькая такая корректировочка, не корректировка, как бы замечание, да, что устойчивый туризм не надо рассматривать как вид туризма. Нет такого вида туризма. Я поехал в тур по устойчивому туризму. Никто так не скажет. Есть экотуризм, есть исторический, культурный, пляжный, есть, да, там сотни видов туризма. Устойчивый туризм, вида туризма такого нет. Это подход, который мы применяем к любому виду туризма, которым мы занимаемся. Значит, вот видели эту диаграмму, да, 3 столпа, стул от 3 ног, на котором стоит устойчивость. Да, это всегда прежде всего о бизнесе, это касается бизнеса, это экономическая составляющая, это само собой окружающая среда, потому что туризм не может происходить там, где дрянная ситуация с окружающей средой, люди не поедут. И это всегда об обществе, о людях. Что происходит с устойчивостью в целом в регионе Центральной Азии, говорю именно с точки зрения субъективного, может быть, но своего опыта. Как вот многочисленные условия, которые требуются для того, чтобы там назвать что-то устойчивым, где мы сейчас это касаемся. Ну, зеленые какие-то технологии, да, начинают применяться. Где-то мы на крышах видим солнечные батареи, коллекторы, в том числе и на гостиницах. Значит, как бы в целом, да, ну там растет роль экотуризма. Экотуризм — это, не путаем с устойчивым туризмом, это как бы часть, да, устойчивости. Значит, зеленый транспорт, где-то мы начинаем видеть электромобили или там электрокары, которые подвозят нас к каким-то монументам, ну и машинам на топливе не позволяется как бы, да, туда заезжать. Значит, какие-то признаки эколейблинга, да, сертификации начинают появляться, там заходишь в гостиницу, видишь какой-то там зеленый сертификат, да. Значит, в целом, как бы, да, как все постсоветское пространство, мы пока еще боремся за сервис. Нам наш коллега сказал, что, ребята, самое главное — это улыбка. Забудьте про все, если у вас нет улыбки, бесполезно тогда, да, все, что вы делаете в туризме. Но даже если мы научились улыбаться и делать это как бы гарантированно, скажем, да, то есть еще очень много других вызовов в сервисе, в общем-то, над которыми работает и гостиничная, и туристическая инфраструктура. У нас много вызовов, да, в продвижении, в защите наших культурных ценностей, да, и, конечно же, везде звучат задачи о том, чтобы как бы повышалась экономика. Да. Вчера тоже на одной из панелей модератор похвалил Узбекистан за то, что Узбекистан как бы озвучивает свои цифры, сколько он зарабатывает на туризме, и оказывается не везде так, да. Ну что, значит, вот теперь давайте посмотрим, что вот из этих 3 столпов происходит вот в реальности. Как я говорю, это вот мой опыт. Значит, во-первых, что такое устойчивость, вот как люди понимают? В основном, это экотуризм, это устойчивый туризм. Нет, экотуризм — это вид туризма, в котором могут быть элементы устойчивости, но экотуризм — это все-таки определенный вид как бы туров по природным территориям, который там обязательно включает еще образовательный компонент. Но это не устойчивый туризм. Что такое что устойчивый туризм не представляет из себя? Вот мои примеры об этом. Значит, встречался в прошлом году с одним высокопоставленным чиновником из Министерства туризма, тогда еще Министерства туризма, и в разговоре в приватном о том, как они понимают устойчивость, он говорит, ну вот это вот все концепции, мы так как бы не вдаемся в них глубоко. У нас все просто. Устойчивость – это бизнес. Вот развивается бизнес, да, туристический где-то, платит налоги, создает рабочие места. Ну чем вам не устойчивость? Что вы еще хотите, как бы, чтобы мы там прописывали, да? Это и правильно, но это же всего лишь как бы один из трех основных компонентов, да, то есть никто не может сказать, что это не об устойчивости, но устойчивость это не только экономика, это не только бизнес, но бизнес и прибыль обязательно должна присутствовать там. И вот такой третий стереотип, да, устойчивость это как бы это вот либо для ННОшников, да, вот кто-то там гранты получает от международных организаций, вот они об этой теме как бы любят говорить, да, а типа, ну, мы в бизнесе, да, у нас там совсем другие проблемы, которые мы решаем, задачи, поэтому это либо для новичков, либо для, как я сказал, ННОшников, и вот я сам вел серию тренингов по внедрению зеленых технологий, вот, буквально в течение последних 2-3 месяцев в 4 регионах Узбекистана. И тренинг, который по внедрению зеленых технологий в отельный бизнес. Так вот, приходили на этот тренинг все, кроме самих собственников отелей. Хотя это именно для них. Это они должны сначала понять, осознать и начать задумываться об этом и инвестировать. А посылали ресепшионистов, горничных. Даже одна женщина была с кухни, которая, кстати, очень на 2-дневном тренинге в Андижане была очень активным участником, что говорит о том, что устойчивость, когда мы говорим уже об организации, это опять-таки не только о боссе, который должен как бы, ее исповедовать и проводить, это во всех уровнях. Несколько концепций. Вот greenwashing, слышали, да, такое слово, да? Это вот когда нам промывают мозги чем-то зеленым, да? Мы часто видим проявление гринвошинга, например, на каких-то продуктах питания, там это эко-сок, это эко-вода, что-то. В большинстве случаев, конечно, это не так, потому что, чтобы соответствовать реальному эко, это должен быть какой-то просто международный лейбл или сертификат, а не просто эко и ваше название. Да? Это называется гринвошинг, промывание мозгов. То есть фактически бизнесы эксплуатируют вот то, что люди сейчас чувствительны, мы все как-то стали стремиться к чему-то эко-здоровому. После пандемии это выросло экспоненциально, все вообще занялись, да, собой, здоровьем, переосмыслением там, своих жизненных ценностей и так далее. Да. В туризме, wellness-туризм стал взлетать именно после пандемии. Значит, конкретно по нашей тематике. Значит, сейчас гринвошинг происходит на главной платформе всех отелей мира на Booking.com. Каким образом? Значит, Booking.com с 2021 года ввел такую как бы, программу Sustainable Travel. Если вы заходите сейчас бронировать отель, помимо других критериев выбора, вы видите еще 3 листочка. Или 1, или 2, или 3 зеленых листочка. Вот этот 3-листник на дисклеймере Booking описывается как мы Booking.com поддерживаем устойчивые практики. И согласно той информации, которую ательеры дают нам, мы их позиционируем как вот 1 листочек, 2 листочка, 3 листочка. Вот пару месяцев назад я ехал в любимый город Самарканд в поезде на тренинг по внедрению зеленых технологий в отельный бизнес. И я решил в поезде прогуглить и посмотреть, сколько отелей Самарканда на букинге имеют 1 или 2 или 3 листочка. Вышло 224 отеля по фильтру. Да, я просто этот фильтр выбрал. Потом я решил взять на обум любой какой-нибудь город, и мне там пришел на ум город Осло. Я, значит, тот же фильтр поставил, вышло 87 отелей, да, то есть Осло, Норвегия, где, наверное, и в целом отелей больше, чем в Самарканде, и уж, наверное, устойчивая практика, которая вообще все это идет там оттуда, со Скандинавии, да, наверное, отелей должно было быть больше. А нет, почему? Потому что пока Booking.com не требует никакого подтверждения, это как бы, наверное, но они же там ответственные, вот они 87 отелей, значит, реально 87 отелей следуют устойчивой практике. А получается, у нас сейчас любой может себе вот этот поставить, и практически все отели ставят себе этот листочек, но в какой-то момент Booking начнет обязательно требовать подтверждающих документов, и тогда эти звездочки посыпятся, эти листочки, да, потому что как бы подтвердить на самом деле могут единицы. И не надо стесняться, что мы только начинаем свой путь, или мы ничего не знаем в этом. Вот мы то, что сейчас здесь сидим и об этом говорим и обмениваемся опытом, вот это самое главное. Значит, обратная сторона гринвошинга, гринхашинг, наверное, еще меньше людей об этом слышали, а вот эта фича, она очень такая, вот, наша среднеазиатская скромность, не говорить о том, что делает, да. Часто организации занимаются благотворительностью. Кстати, если проходить сертификацию, аудит по устойчивости, там обязательно аудиторы будут задавать вопросы, делаете ли вы что-то там для общества, да? То есть у нас, например, в культуре принято заниматься благотворительностью, но не принято об этом говорить. Это как бы для, да, ну вот так. Если мы хотим позиционироваться как организации, гостиницы, туроператоры, другие организации, которые внедряют в себя устойчивость, мы не должны стесняться говорить о тех хороших вещах, которые мы делаем для природы, для других людей, и самое главное, для туристов, потому что, в общем-то, цель в результате удовлетворить потребности просто нового туриста с немножко изменившимися, добавившимися новыми ожиданиями, да? Не просто хороший сервис, не просто хороший отель с хорошей кроватью, не просто комфортабельный транспорт, а чтобы немножко меньше это все потребляло ресурсов, да, там, мы уже живем на 1,5 планеты, да, нам надо 1,5 планеты, чтобы нас сейчас обеспечивать, да. Но это все как бы тема, которая занимается зеленой. Я практик туризма, да, я поэтому пытаюсь именно поделиться практическими моментами. Так вот, не замалчиваем, друзья. Вот что-то делаем совсем микроскопическое. Уже об этом говорим. Таким образом, мы сами себя будем воспитывать о том, чтобы приучать каким-то образом артикулировать те элементы устойчивости, которые мы, допустим, уже внедряем. А я уверен, что каждый что-то делает. Если вот так провести мини-аудит каждого бизнеса, у всех это есть. Но люди не знают, что это можно уже поместить у себя на сайт, да, как какую-то практику. Ну и третья проблема – это как бы невнятное, да, описание неправильным языком, то есть надо как бы знать, как это делать. А как знать? Надо у других смотреть, да, самое, там, кради как художник, да, книжка такая, да, как художник, книжка есть такая. То есть мы сами пока не знаем, нет своего опыта, нет своего локального контента. Ну давайте смотреть на сайтах там в других странах, как это делают, и у себя каким-то образом начинать, но не заниматься гринвошингом, не приплетать себе того, чего у нас нет, а то, что есть, не умалчивать, и это все человеческим, обычным языком своему гостю объяснять, показывать, чтобы человек зашел в гостевой дом или в отель и увидел какую-то табличку, там мы вот экономим, например, воду, да, или мы сокращаем пластик, извините, но у нас не будет там пластика в бутылках, у нас вода в графинах, да, или вот, пожалуйста, там кулер стоит, подойдите со стаканом и налейте. Таким образом, как бы вы уже участвуете в цепочке сокращения пластика. В целом проблема это вот awareness, да, это как там осознанность, да, то есть и, ну, кто занимается маркетингом, знает классическую схему АИДа, да, любая вещь, она, которая продается, должна пройти через вот этот цикл АИДа. Awareness, Interest, Desire, Act. Вот Act это когда кто-то что-то покупает. Но если человек, клиент не прошел через все вот эти стадии, не поняв, мы никогда ничего не покупаем, да, не поняв, что мы покупаем. Мы сначала должны осознать, потом у нас появляется интерес, потом интерес перерастает в желание, а потом мы идем и покупаем. Да? В туризме точно так. Во внедрении новой практики устойчивости точно так. Сначала идет awareness. Так вот, мы в целом находимся на этой стадии. Не надо пытаться перепрыгнуть. Не надо пытаться нас уже продать как устойчивых или позиционировать как устойчивых. Давайте не стесняться. Давайте поймем, что такое устойчивость, разберемся сами для себя, начнем делать какие-то маленькие вещи не в бизнесе, не в офисе, боже упаси, не понимая, делать это с клиентом, с туристом, у себя дома, сами с собой. Для этого есть очень простые 10 R устойчивости, да, это reuse, ну, не каждый раз выбрасывать, да, что-то, а использовать, допустим, там, стеклянную посуду, графин для воды многоразово, да. Это refuse, это как бы от чего-то отказаться, например, от того же пластика или вот иногда же в гостиницах мы вешаем там, если есть она вот такая, нам не надо мне менять белье или полотенце, ну не надо, я на 2 дня, я почти не был в номере, то есть я отказываюсь. Я не хочу, чтобы это все стиралось. Хотя да, это входит в цену моего там, билета, да, в номер, но я отказываюсь, и все. Я таким образом уже вношу свою лепту, да. Это как бы отношение бережное к ресурсам, то есть понимать, что ресурсы ограничены. Rethink — это переосмысление, да, то есть какие-то вещи, которые... Вот, например, с одним ательером, кстати, в Бишкеке это вот была встреча, и по линии устойчивости мы разговаривали, вот как бы предлагались такой мозговой штук был, а что можно убрать? Вот, например, тапочки из номера, да, одноразовые. Большинство людей просто их открывают и даже не одевают, ну, вот типа включено в номер. А это, представляете, сами тапочки, это пакет, в который они запечатаны, то есть куча мусора, да. Вот кто использует, хорошо, почему бы в отеле не убрать тапочки из номера и не написать в ресепшн табличку, что, ребята, кто хочет, мы с радостью вам либо вот здесь в ресепшн сразу дадим, либо принесем в номер, и тапочки будут вам доставлены. Таким образом, сразу же колоссально сокращается количество потребления, потому что на самом деле не очень большое количество людей надо, люди ездят со своими тапочками, да? Но мы сразу как бы начинаем экономить, и это ведет к чему? К прибыли, да, ательеры, потому что, оказывается, сразу уходит меньше денег на зубные щетки одноразовые, на тапочки, просто как одна зарисовка. То есть переосмыслить, посмотреть на проблему с другой, под другим углом, и вот этот ательер такой, он слушал, а что, так можно? Ну а почему бы и нет? Вы самое главное информируете своего гостя, вы сразу в ресепшн, пусть ваши ребята при заселении скажут, что у нас тапочек нет, вам сейчас выдать, не надо. И все, окей, уже как бы вот она устойчивость, да, маленькими шагами. Reduce — сокращение, это понятно, recycle — это переработка, об этом сегодня шла речь. Ну, еще несколько, значит, там, repair, иногда не надо сразу выкидывать вещь, а ее можно тупо отремонтировать, да. Reward — это обязательно награждать самих себя, своих сотрудников, да, всех, кто похвалой, да, вот мы тоже тут сейчас, наверное, друг друга как-то поддерживаем, да, вот те, кто собрались здесь. Repurpose — это переиспользовать, да, вот пластиковая бутылка, которая называется в Узбекистане баклажка. Когда-то я перечислял, пытался найти сколько методов применения, есть там 12 или 15 только на поверхности, которые, для чего она только не используется. В принципе, нормально же, да, одна бутылка, выпущенная когда-то, да, используется многократно для разных целей. Ну, это как бы такие нетрадиционные, скажем так, в народе, да, методики, но в устойчивости это все приветствуется. И реорганизация процессов, да. Значит, что может дать Узбекистану, естественно, другим дестинациям вот эта тема, да, устойчивости? То есть это, само собой, ведет к экономическому росту, потому что, прежде всего, устойчивый туризм покрывает те регионы и тех людей, которых традиционный массовый туризм, они от него ничего не зарабатывают. Большие туроператоры проводят мимо местных на автобусах своих иностранных туристов, все знают, что там баксы, да, что там как бы деньги крутятся, но местные просто смотрят на это, как старики, помните, в белом солнце пустыни, да, такие раз, мимо них то белый, то красный. Вот так, как бы традиционный туризм, он в руках крупных туроператоров, ательеров, да, устойчивость, она сама по себе как бы туризм толкает в массы, да, чтобы зарабатывали простые люди, не обязательно даже владельцы гостевого дома где-нибудь в деревне. Это может быть сосед, который помидоры выращивает и картошку, да, а тот, у кого гостевой дом, у него это покупает, следовательно, через мультипликатор начинают зарабатывать большой круг людей, которые даже напрямую туризмом не занимаются. Это, само собой, особое отношение к культуре, это природа, да, это сохранение природы всегда там, где устойчивость. И важный элемент маркетинга, да, это вот это глобальное позиционирование. То есть сейчас с каждым годом будет все менее и менее круто продвигать свой туризм, рассказывать о нем, и там, если совсем плохо, да, вот с устойчивостью. То есть могут задать вопрос, а что, какие у вас устойчивые практики? На любом промо-брифинге, на любой, как говорится, акции. И вот если нам нечего сказать, или мы начнем нести какую-то чепуху, заниматься гринвошингом, да, люди, которые понимают, сразу как бы определяют, что отстает дестинация, совсем у нее как бы глухо с этим. И дестинации, которые продвинулись в этом, могут просто получить эти потоки. Да? Поэтому в позиционировании, в маркетинге, да, очень важно устойчивый компонент устойчивости. Ну и как место, где вот об этом можно более обширно поговорить, это Самаркандский форум туризма, который я имею честь представлять. Он будет проходить 9-10 февраля, каждый год в феврале в городе Самарканд. Это форум практиков туризма. Но на этом форуме мы все больше и больше уделяем внимание устойчивости. Мы не пишем об этом, потому что люди относятся негативно. Там, грант получили, да, какой-то, теперь это, да, про устойчивость. Нет, у нас форум практиков, туда приходят как бы люди из туристического бизнеса. Но мы сами, основатели, веря в то, что устойчивость нам нужна, именно нужна для того, чтобы дальше поддержать тот же самый рост туризма в Узбекистане. А Самаркандский форум — это Центральноазиатский форум, там собираются со всех 5 станов, да, как мы называем, профессионалы туризма. Вот устойчивость все больше и больше, но при этом аккуратно мы как бы как элемент добавляем в наш контент, который там. Значит, вот эти же вопросы тем или иным образом у нас как бы освещаются через нашу программу, да? Спасибо большое. Вот видите, какое фото. Я в горах хожу, люблю ходить в хайкинге, в трекинге, и ничего не могу с собой поделать. Это было еще до того, как я узнал слово sustainability или устойчивость, но я всегда собирал мусор. Но теперь я решил не заниматься гринхашингом, не утаивать это, потому что раньше я всегда считал, что это делаю для своих любимых гор в Черваке, да, в Басалынском районе. Нет, я буду теперь эту фотографию сделанную весной этого года всем показывать, потому что лучше зажечь маленькую свечку, чем ругать тьму, да, это древняя максима. Спасибо большое.
Let me use one tricky tool. Вы стали говорить о том, что есть менталитет и есть устойчивая скромность, которая буквально течет в жилах каждого из нас. Это наш менталитет, это наше воспитание, ментальность и так далее. Я хочу попросить, об этом говорила Даля, как раз таки о том, что важно коммуницировать, we need intercommunication of locals and tourists. And you, Dalia, told about that in your presentation. And Michael is, we're talking about mentality that we have and modesty, which inside of our bloods because of our mentality. So let me use one tricky tool. Let me ask your questions and address them to Michael, because Michael is local. Dalia, Sophie, Simon, right? Have any questions to the local? We were talking about local sustainable tourism development. And what kind of advices or questions do you have to locals? And we have local speaker on our panel.
Okay, I'll ask you a question first. We're talking about mentality and if it's in the blood. I would say it is not mentality in the blood, but it is habit. And so my question to you is, how do we change behaviour? Obviously we know that sustainability is a good thing for us as individuals and as a community, but how do we change behaviour so people act sustainably?
Sophie, exactly the answer to your question is in your question. Yeah, because I didn't push mentality. Maybe I mentioned it very lightly. Yes, I don't believe it's mentality. I don't know what mentality is actually. Yeah, but I'm about good and bad habits. Yeah, because everything we do is the set of the habits. And do you remember those 10 R of? So this is 10 R of sustainability. Just do it. Just do it in your regular life. Yeah, and it will make and create good habits towards sustainability. So it's advice not for you guys, for me. First of all, I try to follow these 10 things. Yes, very simple things. Yeah, this is about, how to say, like creating habit, yes, right habit, but directed to some specific goal, which is sustainability, at least for us. Thank you. Good question.
Thank you for very good question. I was asking to, I was going to ask the same, but we need to make a dialogue with our participants as well. And maybe please raise your hand. Any questions?
Здравствуйте, меня зовут Билян, из Кыргызстана. Ишака. Можно, я плохо говорю на английском, можно, да, на русском?
Конечно, у нас есть экран
Вот вы сказали устойчивость. Расскажите вот устойчивость, третий фактор о людях.
Кому адресован ваш вопрос?
Ишаке.
Все?
Вы поняли, да, вопрос?
Да. Ну, я думаю, что я понял вопрос. Если я неправильно отвечаю, Бигжан, пожалуйста, поправьте. Да, это, конечно же, о людях, потому что кому надо, это же практика, это же не просто, что построили там какое-то здание, назвали устойчивым, и оно стоит теперь веками. Это практика, как любая практика, как йога. Ты либо ее делаешь, либо не делаешь. Да? Вот, устойчивость это так же, ее надо практиковать. Как утренняя зарядка, как чистка зубов, да? Как уход за собой. Так вот, получается, что это прежде всего о людях. И вот каждый человек может сделать какой-то маленький шаг. Позвольте, я приведу пример сейчас одной участницы, которую я вижу в этом зале, которая вчера подняла в одном из туристических сообществ Telegram, которые там я тоже имею честь модерировать, подняла такой вопрос. Друзья, вот я сейчас его вам задам. Кто знает, что здесь на выставке есть третий павильон? Окей, ну вот, сколько, процентов 35, да? Так вот, оказывается, я сам вчера провел весь день, ну понятно, у нас стенд, суета, да, я между двумя вот этими бегаю, я даже, честно говоря, не знал, что есть третий павильон, где, оказывается, ремесленники со всей Центральной Азии. И вот Назира, туроператор из Ташкента, подняла в двух сообществах вот фактически шум. Почему никто не идет в третий павильон? Там ремесленники, там так классно. Они пришли для того, чтобы показать именно индустрии туризма то, что они делают. И как-то вот все мы заняты вот между собойчиком, да, там контракты заключаем, меморандумы подписываем, фото, естественно, делаем, да, крутые, инстаграмимся. Вот пример того, как устойчивость, как действие может просто делаться, да, здесь и сейчас. Вот самое главное понимать, что это такое, что мы как бы должны продвигать, помогать продвигать местные ремесла, да, вообще любой местный бизнес, да, вот местный. То есть, если вы куда-то приехали, не в супермаркете пойти что-то купить, да, попробовать там местную картошку, да, или яблоки, или помидоры. Да, в супермаркете это удобнее, но это же какое там откуда привезено, жухлое, углеродный след колоссальный, да, и так далее. То есть вот делать такие вещи каждый день. Джан, никакого более сложного ответа нет.
Еще вопросы?
Я хотел. Я на русском задам. Меня зовут Чингис Матвеев, я из дестинации Каракол, из Кыргызстана приехал. По выступлениям, по презентациям складывается такое впечатление, что sustainable туризм это какой-то тренд, это какой-то фэшн или базворд. Но на самом деле мне кажется, что это нужно какой-то аларм уже делать, потому что вот меня очень, it was very striking, Mr. Mohammed, when you said that Maldives contribute only 0.03% to the global warming, but are the most endangered country because of the heightened ocean. And I think that this should be something allowed on the global range, on the global level. And because Kyrgyzstan is also not a very industrial country, but as a high mountain country, it is also very endangered with the global change of climate. So what we should do in order to make sustainable, not a fashion, not some kind of trend in the business, but it's as a necessity for everyone on the earth. Thank you. This is my question to
It's
fourth
not a
minister,
choice,
Mr.
it's a
Mohammed.
necessity. It is.
So although we're talking about it being fashion, actually this is not something new. It is something that the tourism industry possibly has been quite slow to pick up on, because there have been people, particularly in the climate space, trying to sound the alarm for many years, even back to the 1960s, 1970s, saying this is a serious problem. The issue is that we have not been listening. And it's not just the tourism sector, it's other sectors as well. Not only aware that this is a problem, being proactive about doing something about it. I mean, it's difficult because it means changing our habits, and it means changing our mindset as well. I was talking earlier about not being just focused on money, not just being focused on the financial aspects and financial success of things, but the characteristics as well. But that is something the tourism industry wants to do, that therefore needs to do businesses as well.
Okay, thank you very much for your question. I'll just mention two important agreements regarding this. Number one is COP26. I think you have heard about it, and the Paris Accord or the Paris Agreement. So these are the two very important elements that is required for your specific question, global warming. What can the bigger countries do? Till today, there are several bigger countries, I would like not to mention the names, who has not signed the Paris Accord. And Maldives being only one meter above the sea, we are in danger. And we are the fourth country to sign the Paris Accord, and we are the most vocal country, even in COP26, even in Paris Accord. We have been campaigning, and yes, we were very successful to beg from France to sign, and they signed it. And we are very happy for that, and we are very happy for France. And they have signed it, they have rectified it. And there are other bigger nations who has not yet rectified this Paris Accord at the COP26. So I think it is the responsibility of we all to lobby, to create awareness, to write articles on this matter, and let the bigger countries hear our voice. We are saying that we are a country with less than 500,000, but we have been very vocal. We shout and we lobby and we do everything. When we go to this COP26 and even to the United Nations, we have been very vocal and we have been begging to them, please, we are the people in danger. We are not doing anything, we are only contributing 0.003%. But we will be the very first country to totally wash out. So I think these two are the most important two elements. Thank you.
And let me allow one more question, please. I see two raising hands. Do we have any requests to share a microphone?
Здравствуйте, уважаемые участники. У меня будет вопрос на русском. Конечно, о устойчивости очень много здесь говорилось. Устойчивость туризма – это очень важно. Я бы подчеркнул, у нас Узбекистан имеет очень большой потенциал в регионе для развития устойчивого туризма. Но, по моему мнению, не знаю, здесь, наверное, поддерживают, некоторые факторы мешают развитию этого устойчивого туризма. Это инфраструктура. Никто здесь не поднимает вопрос о передвижении наших гостей, туристов, которые хотят увидеть, например, Аранское море.
Ваш вопрос?
Да.
Ваш вопрос, пожалуйста.
Вопрос я формирую, поэтому сейчас, значит, инфраструктура в сторону Аранского моря или родина Амира Тимура, город Шахрисабз, где надо делать хорошие дороги, и тогда будет, я думаю, устойчивый туризм.
Ваш вопрос в чем
Вопрос,
заключается?
вы поддерживаете или нет это, что я говорю?
Позвольте мне, наверное, ответить. Вы затронули очень серьезную экологическую катастрофу глобальную, мировую. И сегодня в рамках нашей сессии, нашей панели мы обсуждаем как раз-таки глобальную необходимость того, как каждый из нас, участник туристического рынка, может ежедневно, буквально на ежедневной основе применять те или иные основы устойчивого туризма для того, чтобы менять этот мир. Маленькими шажками, изо дня в день. Мы не говорим о глобальных вещах, мы здесь не принимаем какие-либо резолюции на фундаментальных государственных началах. Мы говорим о простом человеческом отношении, о простой коммуникации. И, наверное...
I want to answer that question slightly differently.
Okay.
So there are two aspects to it. One is the infrastructure is good. And if we are growing tourism in Uzbekistan, we need to move tourists around more easily and more sustainably. I have seen there is recently a lot more interest in local airlines and short flights. A lot of that is going to be a big improvement. So we are solving one problem and creating another. In France and Europe, where they are actually planning short flights. If you can do the journey in a railway journey of 2 or 3 hours, they are not planning for So I am concerned that to fix a short-term problem, Uzbekistan is making a long-term problem. I would much rather see greater investment in the railway network to be able to fix Uzbekistan, accelerating the high-speed train network expansion to more cities. And then, yes, have to do some road travel as well, but it has been in public transport as well, so it's got to be fantastic. Traffic all over the region, I think, in the house. I like to see that there's a public transport bicycle access as well, the same in all cities. That is an issue for local people, but also an issue for tourism. The other issue you mentioned about the RC, there is the value in tourism and going to the RC because it educates people about the impact that we have on our environment. It is one of the biggest environmental disasters of our lifetime, but by people going there seeing it, hopefully they will learn to do better elsewhere. I fear that people do not always learn from their mistakes, but at least by seeing the RC, seeing what's happened, we will learn lessons for the future.
I was going to say almost the same, but in more diplomatic way. One more question, let me allow, and let me finish our panels because we're out of time. I saw one hand raised.
My question is not directly related to sustainable tourism, it's rather related to tourism in general. It's more to consumer climate. So my question is, Uzbekistan is in tourism industry is developing rather rapidly, I could say. So, but anyway, in foreign countries, foreigners don't usually choose Uzbekistan as their first destination to other like touristic places. For example, as you said, Maldives, it was like a fishing village like 50, 60 years ago. But after like 50 years, within 50 years, you became like very big touristic attraction in the world. So how could Uzbekistan develop this kind of in the same way? So how can we increase awareness in foreign countries as to develop tourism? Uzbekistan as a touristic attraction for foreigners in as their first tourism destination.
I think there's no simple one sentence answer for that. I'll just give you a brief because that's something, number one, very political, very economical, and very social. Those three elements are there. And we have done a lot of things to maintain in this position and to come to this position. Number one is we have break the language barrier. We also have our local language, but our main stream of curriculum is British and the UK. And we are proudly say that we are a country with 100% literacy and 90% of them speak good English. So one thing is breaking the language barrier. So that is a very, very important thing because you have to be universal. You all have to agree on this to be universal. And number two is there are so many destinations in the world where people tend to travel in ease. So if I choose to come to Uzbekistan, I will see that whether it is a country where I can come easily. Let's not go into the deep details, but there is the thing. You must be able to come, you must be able to visit the country easily. And you have to promote your country. And I think Michael has mentioned about the habits. Actually, I think the most important thing is the habits should come from the very early stage. It should be there. Because we have in our curriculum, environmental studies is there, tourism studies is there, fishery science is there. So from grade 1, they will be studying this. We cannot just say, come on, let's get together today and clean Tashkent area. You know, that will be like I think a media PR stunt. But it should all be doing this every day, habit. And everyday habits are not just from a session like this. No, it should come from the very early stage. So these are the most important elements for you to reach to that. And please promote your country. Be proud of your country. I am very proud of your country. Otherwise, there's no way to reach this. There's no way to reach as a tourism destination. You have to be proud of your destination, of your country. We are a very small country. We do not produce anything. 99% of things are being imported. But proudly I say that I'm a Maldivian. That's it.
Thank you ever so much, everybody. Let's take the words of Mr. Mohammed as a resolution and our practical principles, which we can take to our day-to-day life. Thank you ever so much to all our honorable and distinguished speakers for your time, for your experience, for your knowledge. And I hope you will enjoy the exhibition during these 2 days. And there is going to be a premiere of a movie about this exhibition after our panel. So everybody is invited to our premiere. Thank you so much.